The city never slept, its neon lights flickering like restless stars over the wet streets. The air was thick with smoke and the chatter of alien voices. Some sharp, some soft, all strange to human ears. On the edges of this crowded metropolis, a narrow alley ran between tall, cold buildings, trash scattered across the ground and steam rising from cracked pipes. In that alley, a figure moved silently, a human, ragged and worn, his clothes torn, his hair messy, but his eyes sharp and aware. People whispered as he passed, calling him a witch, a sorcerer. Some simply stared, unable to understand why a human could survive here. No one wanted him near, yet no one could ignore the quiet confidence he carried. His name was unknown and he never gave it. He survived on scraps, shadows, and careful observation. But tonight, something would change that. A crowd had gathered at the intersection where the alley opened to the main street. Tension hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. A young alien girl, no older than 10, had fallen from a high balcony, screaming as she hit the ground. Her small body trembled and her breathing was faint. Her golden eyes fluttered weakly, and panic swept through the onlookers. The billionaire father, a tall alien with silver skin and a sharp jaw, pushed his way through the crowd. His expensive robes fluttering, his face was pale, his hands shaking. "My daughter! Someone help her!" he cried, but no one dared move. Afraid of the rumors that anyone touching the girl could be cursed, afraid of the whispered tales that humans were dangerous. Then from the shadows the ragged figure appeared, stepping quietly but with purpose. All eyes turned to him, suspicion and fear mixing with curiosity. He knelt beside the girl, ignoring the stares, and placed his hands gently on her chest. Closing his eyes, he breathed slowly, almost whispering words in a language no one could understand. A soft glow began to emanate from his hands, faint at first, then brighter like tiny fireflies dancing in the night. The crowd gasped, stepping back in fear. Some shouted, "Witchcraft! Sorcery!" Others froze, unable to look away. The girl's trembling slowed, her breathing became stronger. Her small eyes opened wide as life returned to her. The billionaire fell to his knees, astonished. How did you do this?" he stammered, awe and fear tangled in his voice. The human did not answer. He simply rose, dusting his torn clothes. His eyes met the father's, calm, steady, almost as if he expected nothing from anyone. The crowd whispered, some calling him a miracle, some calling him a demon. The city seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would happen next. No one had ever seen a human survive so long in these streets, much less perform such a miracle. Yet here he was, mysterious and powerful yet humble, untouched by greed or fear. The billionaire's daughter clung to his arm as if she knew somehow that he was safe, that he was different, that he could be trusted. From the alley behind him, shadows shifted, and distant figures watched, hiding, plotting. Their faces were hidden by masks, but their eyes gleamed with intent. Something told the human that this was only the beginning, that danger and suspicion would follow him wherever he went, that the city was not ready for someone like him. Yet for a moment the city paused, forgetting its chaos, its greed, its fear. All that mattered was the girl, safe in the hands of a stranger, a human accused of witchcraft, feared by many, yet somehow he had become a hero, a silent protector, a spark of hope in a world that had almost forgotten it. The billionaire finally stood, his silver eyes fixed on the human, his pride and power clashing with the gratitude in his heart. He spoke, his voice low but firm. "Who are you? And why did you help my daughter?" The human only shrugged, a small, enigmatic smile forming. "I help where I can," he said, his voice calm, measured, yet carrying weight beyond the words. The crowd began to disperse, some muttering warnings, others murmuring in awe. The alley returned to shadows, the neon lights reflecting in puddles of rain. The human walked away slowly, eyes scanning, always alert. He knew this act would change everything, that whispers of witchcraft would turn into attention from the powerful, that nothing would ever be simple again. And in the heart of the city, under the flickering neon and the watchful eyes of aliens and humans alike, a story began, a story of fear, courage, and the strange bond between a homeless human and a billionaire's child. No one could yet imagine what would happen next, but the night had already begun to whisper his name. The night was still, but the city felt heavier after the strange event in the alley. The billionaire alien, tall and proud with silver skin glinting under neon lights, paced inside his mansion, his mind racing. His daughter rested safely in her room, her small body wrapped in soft blankets, yet her golden eyes were bright with life. Her laughter had returned, and he could not shake the memory of the human who had saved her. He had seen humans before, but never like this one. A homeless, ragged figure, yet moving with confidence, calm and sure. His powers had healed the child in minutes, something that even the most advanced alien medicine could not do. The billionaire's mind was a storm of pride, fear and curiosity. How could a human save my daughter? He muttered to himself, pacing. Is he a miracle or is he dangerous? The mansion was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the distant sound of the city below. Guards and staff whispered about the event, some in awe, some in fear. Rumors would spread, they said. The human is cursed, some said he is a witch. Yet others argued he is pure, he is good. The billionaire stopped pacing, his sharp eyes scanning the walls as if answers could be found in the ornaments and paintings of his vast home. Finally, he made a decision, one that went against every instinct he had about control and power. He summoned the human, sending messengers to find him in the dark alleys. The human appeared quietly at the entrance, eyes scanning the room, cautious but calm. He did not bow or show fear, yet respect was clear in his stance. His gaze met the billionaire's, and for a moment, silence ruled the room, heavy and tense. You saved my daughter, the billionaire said, voice low. I do not know why or how, but you saved her, and now, I want answers, human. Why did you help? The human shrugged, a small, mysterious smile forming. I help where I can, he said simply, his tone calm, almost casual, yet carrying weight that made the billionaire pause. The billionaire motioned to his daughter, who peeked from behind the door, her small hands gripping the edge. Her eyes were wide, innocent, and full of trust. She stepped forward slowly, her tiny hand reaching toward the human. Thank you, she said softly, her voice trembling with awe. The human crouched, touching her shoulder gently. You are brave, he whispered, a kindness that contrasted sharply with his rough appearance. Staff watched in amazement, whispers flowing like a quiet river. Some feared him, some admired him, and the billionaire felt a strange conflict. He had wealth, power, and influence over the entire city. Yet here was a human with nothing, who commanded respect without money or weapons. He could not understand it, and that unsettled him deeply. Days passed, and the human remained in the mansion, quietly helping the daughter recover. He healed small injuries, soothed fears, and played simple games with her, teaching her curiosity and laughter. The billionaire watched, still skeptical, still proud, yet slowly admiration grew. He began to see the human not as a threat, but as a teacher, a guide, someone beyond his comprehension. Yet outside the mansion, shadows stirred. Hidden eyes watching, plotting. The city had noticed the miracle, and rumors spread faster than fire. Some envied the human, some feared him, and others wanted to control him. The billionaire realized that keeping the human safe would not be easy. He had wealth, guards, and machines, but there was no way to control someone like this. He could only hope that the human would stay willingly, and that no harm would reach his daughter. The human noticed the tension, his sharp eyes scanning the windows, the hallways, the city beyond. They are afraid, he said softly to the daughter one evening. They do not understand humans or what we can do, but you have nothing to fear while I am here. The daughter smiled, trusting completely, her small hand gripping his. The billionaire entered the room. Watching them together, the human did not flinch, did not bow, and yet a quiet authority radiated from him. The billionaire felt a strange mixture of respect and unease. He realized that no amount of money or power could replace courage, compassion, or skill, and that this human possessed all three in ways he could never control. That night, the billionaire could not sleep. Visions of the alley, the human and his daughter's golden eyes replayed endlessly. Questions filled his mind. Who is he? Where did he come from? What else can he do? Fear and wonder battled inside him, yet one thing was clear. The human had already changed his world, and the city would never be the same. In the shadows of the mansion, distant figures moved silently, observing, waiting, plotting. They had heard of the human too, and they did not like what they heard. Something was coming, something dangerous, and the human would be at the center of it. Yet for now, the mansion was quiet. The daughter was safe, and the billionaire had a choice: trust the human or lose everything. The human looked out the window at the glowing city. Silent and alert, he knew danger would come. But he did not fear it. His past, his struggles, his life in the alleys had prepared him for this moment. The billionaire watched him, a mix of fear and respect, and wondered silently if this human would become more than just a helper, if he could become a force that changed the fate of all. And in the quiet of that mansion, under the flickering neon lights and the watchful eyes of both alien and human, a fragile trust began to grow, a bond that would face challenges, danger and wonder beyond imagination, and the city waited, holding its breath, as a story of courage, fear, and destiny quietly unfolded. The mansion was quiet in the morning light, soft beams reflecting off polished floors and glowing walls. The daughter ran through the hallways, her laughter echoing, her small feet tapping lightly, yet the human followed silently, careful not to startle her, his ragged coat brushing the floor as he moved. No one knew much about him, and he offered no stories, only quiet gestures, small smiles, and healing when needed. The billionaire watched from his study, silver eyes sharp yet clouded with curiosity. He could not understand why a human with nothing, living in alleys and shadows, could carry such calm strength, could heal without science, without machines, without asking for anything in return. Rumors of witchcraft had followed the human for years, whispered from city to city, yet none of those whispers explained the warmth he brought to a frightened child. Inside the garden, the human knelt beside the daughter, examining her scraped knee from yesterday's small fall. His hands glowed faintly, gentle and steady. The girl looked up at him with trust and wonder. "Why can you do this?" she asked softly, curiosity bright in her golden eyes. He looked at her, expression calm but distant. "Some humans are born with gifts," he said quietly. "We help where we can, nothing more." Meanwhile, outside the mansion, shadows shifted, figures moving carefully along the walls and rooftops. Spies, enemies, and jealous rivals had heard about the human, about the miracle in the alley, they whispered among themselves, plotting, waiting for a moment to strike. Their fear was real, for they sensed something powerful in him, something beyond understanding. Inside, the billionaire called his advisors, demanding reports on the human, questioning scientists and medics. Yet no one could explain what had happened. No machines could reproduce the healing. No chemicals could match the human's touch. The billionaire's pride battled with awe. He wanted control, yet he could not control this man. He could only observe, wondering what other secrets he carried at night. The human sat alone in the corner of the grand hall, silent and alert, eyes scanning every shadow, every reflection. His past whispered to him, memories he had tried to forget but could not. Years of survival, of hiding, of knowing that humans were fragile yet strong, had trained him for moments like this, moments when courage and skill could save lives. The billionaire had seen only a glimpse, but the truth ran deeper. One evening, the daughter followed him quietly, curiosity stronger than fear. "Where do you come from?" she asked softly, peering around his shoulder. He paused, looking at her, eyes calm yet unreadable. "I come from where humans are tested," he said quietly. "Where survival is not given, it is earned. You learn to trust no one, yet to help those who cannot help themselves." The daughter's small hands touched his arm, innocent but steady. "You are not like them, are you?" she whispered, her trust absolute. He shook his head slowly, a small, almost hidden smile forming. "No," he said. "I am not like most humans, nor like most aliens. I am simply me." That night the mansion trembled with distant noises, faint alarms in the city below. Spies and assassins moved in the shadows, testing defenses, searching for the human. His senses were alert. Sharper than any machine, he could feel them, almost as if the air itself carried their intent. He stood quietly, listening, waiting, ready to act. In the study, the billionaire watched unseen. Noting the human's vigilance, he began to understand something he had never considered. Humans were underestimated, their courage hidden beneath fragile appearances. And this one, this ragged stranger, carried that courage like a sword, ready to strike when needed. He realized that perhaps the human had already saved more than his daughter. He had saved a part of the city's heart, showing bravery when no one else would. The next morning, the human guided the daughter through the mansion's vast library, pointing at strange books and alien devices. "Knowledge is power," he said softly, "and sometimes kindness is stronger than power." The daughter laughed, bright and free. Absorbing his words with childlike wonder, she felt safe, as if nothing in the world could harm her while he was near. Yet the shadows outside did not sleep, plotting still, waiting for a moment to test him. The human knew this, and he did not fear. Only preparation mattered, patience, and the ability to act when the time came. He had survived alleys, storms, and hunger, and now he would survive the intrigues of the city. The billionaire, watching silently, began to understand, perhaps for the first time, that power was not only in wealth, nor in machines, but in courage, empathy, and skill, qualities this human carried naturally. By nightfall, a bond had quietly formed, invisible to most, yet undeniable. The daughter trusted the human completely. The billionaire respected him reluctantly, still wary, yet something inside him had shifted. Outside, shadows moved closer, and the city whispered with anticipation. Something was coming. Something the human would have to face. Yet he was ready, calm, and watchful, and so, in the quiet halls of the mansion, under flickering lights and silent stars above, the human's secrets remained mostly hidden. His past a shadowed story, yet his actions spoke louder than any words. A story of courage, survival, and mystery unfolding slowly, hinting that greater challenges awaited, but also that trust, bravery, and compassion could shine even in the darkest of alleys. The night was colder than usual, a thin mist drifting through the streets of the city. The mansion sat quietly, grand and imposing, its silver walls glowing faintly under the neon lights. Inside, the billionaire's daughter slept peacefully, wrapped in blankets, unaware of the danger creeping closer with every shadow. The human moved silently through the hallways, alert, senses sharp, feeling the tension in the air. He had known this moment would come. The whispers in the city had grown louder, and fear had spread. Those who had watched him from the shadows, enemies and rivals alike, had decided to act. They would not wait. They would strike now, hoping to capture or eliminate the human before he could challenge their power. The first sound came softly, a faint scuff on the marble floor outside the mansion. The human froze, listening, every muscle tight and ready. Outside, figures moved carefully, cloaked in dark clothing, their eyes gleaming under the dim light. They were silent but deadly, trained killers seeking to test the human, unaware of what he could do. Inside, the billionaire paced, uneasy, sensing that something was wrong. His guards checked doors and windows, weapons ready. But the human only smiled slightly, a calm that contrasted sharply with the tension around him. "They are here," he whispered, almost to himself, "and they do not understand what they face." The attack began suddenly, shadows bursting through the walls, small explosives shaking the floors. The guards fired quickly, but the attackers were fast, agile, moving in ways that seemed almost impossible. The mansion trembled as chaos erupted, yet the human was in the middle of it, calm, moving with purpose, his hands glowing faintly, energy flowing in ways that defied understanding. He stepped between the attackers and the daughter, his presence alone creating a barrier. Some of the attackers froze, eyes wide, realizing too late that this human was not ordinary. He moved like water, fast and precise, deflecting strikes, dodging blows, and disarming enemies without harming them unnecessarily. His power was quiet but undeniable, each movement calculated, each action protective. The billionaire watched from the balcony, astonished, fear mixing with awe. His daughter peered from behind him, small hands gripping the railing, yet she did not cry. She trusted the human completely, knowing somehow that he would keep her safe. Outside, more figures joined the attack, but the human did not falter. His energy flared, sending a ripple through the attackers, forcing them back, confusion spreading in their ranks. He guided the daughter to a hidden room, his eyes never leaving the intruders. "Stay here," he whispered, his voice calm yet commanding. She nodded, trusting without question. He returned to the hall, standing tall despite his ragged appearance, ready to face the enemy. The mansion itself seemed to respond to him, lights flickering as if recognizing his presence, walls vibrating softly with energy. The battle continued, attackers pressing forward. But the human remained unshaken. Each movement was precise, defensive yet powerful, protecting everyone in the mansion. Guards and servants watched, some in awe, some in fear, realizing that this homeless human had become more than a protector. He had become a force none could ignore. The billionaire, watching closely, felt a strange realization. No amount of money, technology, or influence could replace courage and skill. And this human had both in abundance. He had saved the daughter, and now he was saving the mansion, the family, the very honor of those who trusted him. The attackers, seeing their advantage slip, became reckless, yet each attack only revealed the human's calm control. Finally, after tense minutes that felt like hours, the attackers retreated, confused and defeated. They had underestimated the human, thinking him weak and powerless. Their whispers of witchcraft and danger had only been a warning to those who dared challenge him. The mansion was quiet again, the daughter safe, the billionaire shaken but grateful. The human stood in the hall, breathing slowly, calm once more. His hands dimmed, the glow fading, yet the aura of power remained. The daughter ran to him, hugging his leg. "You protected us," she whispered. Eyes wide, he bent slightly, brushing her hair back gently. "I protect those who cannot protect themselves," he said softly. The billionaire approached, his face thoughtful, awe replacing some of his fear. "I do not know who you are," he said, "nor why you do what you do, but tonight, you have saved more than my daughter. You have saved my family, and perhaps even my pride." The human only nodded, a small smile on his face, humble yet mysterious. Outside, the city was quiet, yet the shadows remained, watching, waiting, plotting again. The human knew that this victory was only temporary. That danger would return, greater than before. He had survived the alleys, the cold, and the hunger of the streets, and now he would survive the schemes of the city's powerful, and in the quiet of the mansion, under the flickering lights and distant neon glow, a new understanding had formed. The billionaire had seen courage, the daughter had felt trust, and the city had witnessed a glimpse of a power it could not yet comprehend. The human, homeless yet strong, had changed their lives forever. And somewhere in the dark streets outside, whispers began anew. Rumors spreading of the human who fought like a legend, mysterious and brave, accused of witchcraft yet undeniable in his strength. The story was far from over, and the night had only begun to hint at the adventures and dangers to come. The mansion was quiet after the attack, its halls still trembling with echoes of the chaos that had passed. The billionaire alien walked slowly through the corridors, his silver eyes thoughtful, pondering the human who had defended them all. He could not understand him, yet he could not deny his courage, his skill, or the strange calm that surrounded him. Something about this human was beyond explanation, beyond fear, beyond wealth. The daughter sat by a large window, her golden eyes wide as she watched the neon city glow below. She had grown fond of the human in ways she could not describe. A trust had formed, unspoken but powerful. He had protected her when no one else could, and she knew that he always would. The human walked into the room quietly, as he always did, and sat across from the billionaire, calm, collected, his presence commanding yet humble. "You saved more than my daughter," the billionaire said slowly. "You saved my honor, my pride, even my belief in trust. Tell me, who are you really?" The human's gaze was steady, his eyes reflecting memories he had long tried to forget. "I am what humans have always been," he said quietly. "Strong, resilient, and willing to help even when the world fears us. My past is not simple," he continued. "I was born among humans known for rare gifts. Healers, protectors, people who were tested from birth, taught to survive and to help. I have learned to use what I have to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is all I do and all I ever will do." The billionaire listened, trying to understand, his pride battling with awe. He had wealth, influence, and armies, yet this human, homeless and ragged, carried power and courage in ways he could never control. And now he realized, perhaps too late, that fear and power were not enough to protect what he loved, that sometimes hope and bravery came from unexpected places. The daughter moved closer to the human, her small hand reaching for his. "You are like a hero," she whispered softly, her voice full of wonder. He smiled faintly, brushing her hair back. "Heroes are ordinary people who choose to act when others cannot," he said simply. Yet every word carried weight, teaching lessons beyond the child's understanding. Outside, shadows moved in the city, watching, listening, plotting. Those who had attacked the mansion once were gathering information, learning about the human, and preparing for their next attempt. Yet they underestimated him, as they always had, and he was ready, patient, and vigilant. The billionaire asked more questions, unable to hide his curiosity. "Your gifts, your knowledge, can you teach them?" The human shook his head, calm but firm. "Not in the way you mean. My strength comes from experience, from survival, from learning to care when no one else does. It is not something that can be taught, only understood." That night, the human led the daughter to the balcony overlooking the city, pointing to the distant towers and glowing streets. "The world is dangerous," he said softly, "but kindness, courage, And trust can change it even in small ways. You have a choice even at your age to see the good, to protect, to help. The daughter nodded, inspired by his words, feeling a power inside her she did not yet understand. The billionaire watched silently from the shadows. Realizing that his daughter had found more than a protector, she had found a guide, someone who could teach her bravery and wisdom beyond wealth or influence. And the human, ragged and homeless, had become more than a savior. He had become a teacher, a legend in the making. Later, as the mansion slept, the human sat quietly, reflecting on the events, his past, his struggles. The alleys and hardships he had endured had prepared him for this moment. He had been tested, and he had learned. Every scar, every night of hunger, every whispered fear had shaped him, had given him the strength to act when needed, and to protect those who could not protect themselves. The billionaire realized slowly that he could trust this human, but not fully, not yet, for the world outside was dangerous, and there were those who would seek to harm anyone who threatened their power. Yet for the first time he felt something he had not felt in years. Hope, not just for his daughter, but for the city, for the future, for humans and aliens alike. Working together, trusting, protecting, and learning from each other in the quiet of the mansion. Under the soft glow of neon and moonlight, a bond formed, invisible yet unbreakable. The human had revealed part of his past, but much remained hidden, secrets waiting for the right moment to be shared. The daughter slept peacefully, safe in his presence. The billionaire watched with respect and caution, and the city outside whispered of miracles, courage, and the power of one human to change everything. And somewhere in the distant streets, figures watched, waiting, plotting, knowing that the human story was only beginning, that revelations and dangers would follow him, but also that courage, kindness, and wisdom could shine brighter than fear, greed, or hatred. And so a story of trust, bravery, and destiny quietly unfolded, promising adventures and challenges yet to come. The city was restless, neon lights flickering against the misty streets, as if warning of the danger to come. The human stood atop the mansion's highest balcony, eyes scanning the horizon, sharp and alert. He could feel it, the approach of enemies. Stronger, faster, more ruthless than before. They had learned from their last failure, and now they would not hesitate. Inside, the billionaire paced anxiously, watching his daughter play quietly in the garden. She laughed softly, unaware of the danger creeping closer. Her small hands clutched a toy as if it could protect her. Yet she trusted the human completely. She had seen his courage, his calm strength, and she knew nothing could harm her while he was near. The first wave struck suddenly, shadows moving like dark waves over the city rooftops. Explosions shook the streets, alarms blared, and sirens echoed. Yet the human moved like a storm, fast and precise, his hands glowing with energy. Each step calculated, each movement defensive yet powerful. He intercepted attackers with skill that left even trained alien guards astonished. The billionaire watched from his study window, awe mixing with fear. The human, ragged and homeless, was now more than a protector. He was a force that commanded the battlefield. His movements were calm but unstoppable, pushing attackers back without unnecessary violence. Every strike, every dodge, every flash of light showed control, courage, and determination. Outside, the enemies grew reckless, thinking their numbers could overwhelm him. But the human had prepared for this. He had studied the city, the mansion, every route, every hiding place, and now he used it all, guiding guards, positioning civilians, and defending the daughter simultaneously. He moved like a shadow and a storm at once. Protective yet unstoppable, the billionaire realized slowly that no amount of technology, no armies, no machines could replace courage and intuition. This human had survived alleys, hunger, cold, and fear, and now he was surviving enemies far stronger than anyone could imagine. The daughter watched from the balcony, her small hands pressed against the railing. Yet she did not panic, her trust was absolute. A bond formed in moments of fear and kindness. The attackers unleashed more advanced weapons, devices that hummed with deadly energy. But the human remained calm, letting the energy flow through his body, deflecting blasts with precise gestures. His glowing hands pushed attackers back, sometimes gently, sometimes with force necessary to protect life. The city seemed to hold its breath, watching the homeless human fight like a legend. Inside the mansion, servants and guards worked in harmony. Guided silently by the human, he did not shout orders. His presence alone commanded coordination. The billionaire, watching, began to understand that true leadership was not about fear or control. It was about courage, trust and action when it mattered most. After tense minutes that felt like hours, the attackers faltered, confusion spread among them. Their confidence broken by a human they had underestimated. They had thought him weak, powerless, but every move he made proved them wrong. The mansion, the daughter, and the billionaire were safe. Yet the human did not stop, remaining alert, scanning for threats, ready for another wave if it came. Finally, silence returned, broken only by distant sirens and the soft hum of the city below. The human lowered his glowing hands, calm once more, standing among the guards. He looked around at the mansion, at the daughter, at the billionaire, his ragged coat fluttering softly in the night breeze. He exuded quiet strength, humble yet undeniable. The daughter ran to him, hugging his leg tightly. "You saved us again," she whispered, golden eyes wide with awe. He crouched, brushing her hair back gently. "I protect those who cannot protect themselves," he said simply. Yet every word carried power, teaching lessons beyond the child's understanding. The billionaire approached, still breathing heavily, awe replacing some of his fear. "I do not know how to repay you," he said slowly. "You have saved my family, my honor, and perhaps even my faith and courage. I see now that wealth and power cannot replace bravery and heart." The human only nodded, a faint smile forming, humble but confident. Outside, shadows retreated, but they would return, plotting, learning, and waiting for the next chance. The human knew this, and he did not fear. Patience and vigilance were his allies. His past, filled with survival and struggle, had prepared him for moments like this, and he would face whatever came next. And in the quiet of the mansion, under the flickering neon glow and distant stars, a new understanding had formed. The billionaire respected the human, the daughter trusted him completely, and the city had witnessed a glimpse of courage, skill and heart that defied expectation. The homeless human, accused of witchcraft, had become a legend in the making. The night whispered of future dangers, challenges and adventures, yet for now the mansion was safe. The daughter was protected, and the human had proven that courage, kindness, and skill could shine brighter than fear. Greed or hatred and the story of this homeless human, mysterious yet brave, continued to unfold, promising more suspense, more heroism, and more hope for humans and aliens alike. The sun rose slowly over the city, neon lights fading into soft morning colors. The mansion, scarred but standing, glimmered under the pale light. The human walked quietly through the halls, observing calm and alert, his ragged coat swaying lightly, eyes scanning, always watchful. Yet there was peace for the moment. The danger had passed, and the daughter slept safely in her room. The billionaire entered the hall, his silver skin catching the sunlight, eyes thoughtful but calm. He approached the human, no pride, no fear, only respect in his gaze. "You have done more than I could have imagined," he said quietly, voice soft but firm. "You have protected my daughter, defended my home, and shown me courage I did not know I understood. I am grateful, and I want you to know that your place here is safe, and your actions will not be forgotten." The human nodded, humble, yet there was a faint spark in his eyes, a quiet pride. "I do not seek reward," he said simply. "I protect where I can, help where I can. That is all I ask." The billionaire studied him carefully, realizing for the first time that bravery, kindness, and skill could not be bought, nor commanded. They were earned through heart, experience, and courage. The daughter appeared at the doorway, rubbing her eyes, small and curious. She ran to the human, hugging his leg tightly. "You stayed with me," she whispered, golden eyes shining. "I was not afraid." The human bent slightly, brushing her hair back gently. "You were brave too," he said softly. "We are brave together." Their bond, unspoken but unbreakable, was clear to anyone who looked. Outside, the city began its slow hum, unaware of the heroism that had unfolded in the mansion. Whispers spread among citizens of the human who fought like a legend, who healed, protected, and challenged fear and prejudice. Some spoke of witchcraft, some of miracles, but all knew one truth. This human was extraordinary, a spark of hope in a world that often forgot courage. The billionaire led the human to the balcony, showing him the streets below, the towers, and the distant horizon. "The city fears you, admires you, and will watch you closely," he said carefully. "But now you have my protection and my trust. The future is uncertain, yet I believe you will face it with strength and wisdom." The human nodded, quiet, thoughtful, yet ready, his gaze scanning the city, prepared for whatever would come. The daughter tugged gently at his coat. Will you stay with us? She asked softly, her trust absolute. He smiled faintly, a small mysterious curve. For now, yes, he said simply, for now, I stay. Yet his mind remained alert, knowing that shadows always lurked, that challenges would return, and that his journey, while paused, was far from over. In the mansion, life slowly returned to normal. Servants moving, guards standing vigilant, yet the atmosphere was lighter, filled with quiet respect for the human who had changed everything. The billionaire walked beside him, asking questions, seeking advice, learning that courage and skill were as valuable as wealth and power. The human answered with calm wisdom, guiding without commanding, teaching without pride. That evening, the daughter stood at the balcony with him, watching the sunset paint the city in gold and purple. Do you think the world will always be safe? She asked softly, small hands clutching his. Trust unwavering. He smiled faintly, looking at her with quiet assurance. No, danger is always there. But courage, kindness, and love are stronger. As long as we choose to act, as long as we choose to protect. The billionaire watched them from a distance, realizing that he had learned something more valuable than wealth or power. He had learned that even the smallest trust, the simplest act of courage could change hearts, cities, and perhaps even worlds, and the human, ragged, mysterious, and brave, had shown him that humanity, though often underestimated, could shine brighter than fear. Outside the mansion, shadows still lingered. Distant watchers who had failed once, plotting again. The human felt them, as always, ready, calm, prepared, knowing that his journey would continue. Yet he also knew that he was not alone. That trust, courage, and kindness had allies, even in the smallest hearts, like the daughter who had learned to believe in heroes. And as the stars appeared above the city, neon fading to soft twilight, a quiet peace settled over the mansion. The daughter safe, the billionaire respectful, and the human, homeless yet strong, ready for the future. A new beginning had arrived, the first of many, promises of adventure, courage, and hope whispering on the wind. The city would remember this human, not as a stranger nor as a witch, but as a legend, brave, kind, and unstoppable. And somewhere in the quiet alleys and streets, his story began to inspire, to teach, and to show that even one human, small and ragged, could change the world.